Welcome back to the Decouple podcast. We're reporting here from Glasgow at the COP26. I'm honored to have with me Stephan Gabriel Haufe, who is the spokesperson for the German delegation. Thank you so much for making the time for us today.
Thank you very much to be here with you.
Yeah. So, Stephan, we've had an interest in Germany for a long time now. I think the country that is most ahead in terms of per capita investment in renewables. I'm pretty confident that's Germany, about 500 billion euros spent. You guys have been a real first mover with renewable technologies, and that's made it easier for countries like myself in Canada and other countries around the world to start investing in renewables because you guys were the earliest and I think helped bring prices down for us. Can you tell me a little bit about the Energiewende, as it's called, some of the history about it and how it's proceeding?
Yeah, you just mentioned that you said maybe we made renewables cheaper for the world. And in Germany we have always a strong discussion about the fees and the subsidies we have for renewables as a citizen. Because we have to pay, when we pay for our electricity, we pay also kind of a fee for the renewables.
Right.
So, and many people of course say, oh, it's so expensive, electricity in Germany is so expensive, also because of all the taxes we have and different fees we have. And we have this because we really need to change our whole energy system. That means all the nets, the networks, to transport electricity, to transport energy, but of course everything what is for renewable production needed regarding windmills and solar panels. But if you look in the longer perspective, then we can say because we pushed it so tough with subsidies, we made it more attractive for more and more countries to join. And our legislation for renewables, the legislation for renewables is copied by more than 60 countries in the world. And they just looked at Germany, how did we do all the legislation to really promote, to strengthen renewable energies in the energy system. Because just look 20 years ago, energy specialists said solar, wind energy, maybe 5% is possible. Today we have more than 45%. We're not at the moment, not around 50. We had 50, but now around 47%. If you look to the delivered energy in the system at the moment, so it's nearly 50. So you can say, look, how wrong have you been? You said 5. It's not possible to work with to get a stable energy system with solar and windmills. Yeah, there are many challenges. Absolutely true. It's not that easy, but it is possible. It is manageable. Look to Portugal in the European Union. Portugal is a country that can cover its energy on some days completely 100% by renewables. That's possible, and this is the great news that we can say. Of course, after a lot of challenges and experiences we have to go through, and not everything of that was so easy.
So obviously sacrifices are being made by German households, but can you see this as a return on investment in terms of, I think Germany is kind of unique in the Western world by still having a very vertically integrated set of corporations that are able to keep a lot of the manufacturing in country. I think that's fairly unique. Certainly in my country, a lot of things have been offshored, and I understand in Germany you're making the nacelles and you have a lot of kind of intellectual property that you've developed through this experience with renewables. Has that become a strength for the country in terms of both the sacrifice being paid for the slightly higher prices, but also as a benefit in terms of exports?
I can't share your view completely because we lost several companies, several productions, especially regarding solar panels. So producing solar panels is much cheaper in China, and
So is that just a labor issue, like higher standards of labor, environmental standards?
Yeah, of course. We are a very well developed society with a strong social state as well, and I mean, some countries in Asia, they really also realized what the energy system, what kind of change is needed in the energy system. So we don't talk here as a single European country, and I think it's during the years you can really see how the message of and the importance of renewables has grown tremendously all over the world. Despite a lot of skeptics, of course, and China and India, especially China, they are really quite on the front runner, as also kind of a front runner as well, regarding changing the energy system. Of course, the dimension in China is a totally different one. They have totally different other conditions, but yeah,
it's like 5-6 Germanys.
Exactly. But regarding windmills, I would say yes. Windmills are also the production of windmills and all that. Also, having a good system for recycling of windmills and solar panels, what is another challenge. This is something what we have quite well presented with different companies in Germany, but it's not that and that we can say today we produce all our solar panels. Absolutely not. Solar panels are produced at the moment mainly in Asia. But there are productions coming back. Also, that's possible that we can see. And what you have mentioned, of course, we have a very big. We have many expertise, many knowledge, many very good institutions, knowledge hubs regarding renewables in Germany that do their work for consolation worldwide. Absolutely true. But just to mention, let me point of the recycling of windmills and solar panels, because our legislation also says if we now come to a new renewable energy system, we want to think, we want to have a sustainability. We want to have a sustainable chain from the production until the end of the chain. When we see this windmill maybe needs to be changed, or also this panel needs to be changed, then it must be then you have to have the ability to recycle it. And this is a very important standard. Also, what you have to take into account when you do the production.
Let's move on, because another major transition in the German energy mix is nuclear. Pre-Fukushima, I think it was 25% of the mix. You're probably told as well that would be very hard to replace. We just had a talk about nuclear within the EU Green Taxonomy. Can you tell me a little bit about that transition? I know it's soon to be completed, but tell me about that experience, whether that was difficult, how it's going, whether you're following along with your schedule.
Yeah, many countries do at the moment go through energy transition in the direction of renewables, and so as we do in Germany. But the very a very important difference that only has Germany is the phase-out of nuclear energy. Parallelly to a coal phase-out as well, and installation of a renewable energy system based on only renewables. And this is, especially for one of the biggest world economies, a very big challenge. But, I mean, if we manage it, we can really deliver we just can show that nuclear phase-out is possible. Hopefully, in a very transparent, sustainable way, and it's not that we need nuclear energy for a stable, climate-friendly energy system. This is what many other experts say. You need nuclear energy because it's stable. It helps you to go to renewables, better renewables. That's wrong, because
tell me more about that.
Because just look at the nuclear power stations that are under construction in Europe, in the European Union, or in Europe. It takes at least 10 years from the start until the end, and until the first day that you can use, that you can switch on the nuclear power station. 10 years, and you don't know if it can take longer. What an insecurity! You cannot plan with that anymore. We have now the crucial decade to change our energy system now. If you want to follow the path that the Paris Agreement shows us to come to a 1.5 degree goal, then so if you want to keep the heating of the Earth below 2 degrees, at least 2.5 degrees, then we cannot focus on a kind of energy that needs 10 years to construct and to build. This isn't possible. And on the other side, you have to see, where do you get the uranium from? It's a very unenvironmentally, how do you say, a very
unfriendly,
environment-friendly way of getting it. You have a big problem with the storage. I mean, this is one of our biggest challenges now. We have to find a place where we can store all this waste, this nuclear waste. This very, very dangerous nuclear waste. And we try to, I think we say maybe we need 30 years to find the right place. And we have to do it also in a very transparent way. We have own formats where we really work with the population. We have
someone's got to host it, right?
Exactly, yeah. So we have a participation process on that. The public participation is very important on that. You have to be very transparent. And it costs us billions in the end. When people say, "Wow, nuclear energy, what a good alternative," then they often don't talk about true costs on the whole chain, on the whole set. They never talk on the whole costs. That's absolutely clear.
Yeah. I've got to ask you a difficult question here, because you're mentioning the coal phase out. It's been a very strange year in Europe. Maybe an extreme weather event. The wind has not been blowing as well as it should, or that it has historically. And I was just looking through the electricity figures for Germany. And this year, the number one source of electricity has been coal at 27%. You mentioned a coal phase out. When is that going to happen? When is the deadline to get all the coal off the grid?
Yeah, we have the German coal phase out has a very final end, so the very latest moment we have to finish with coal is 2038. But it's the latest moment. We want to have it earlier. So at the moment we say around the 2030s, beginning of the 2030s, we say no coal anymore needed in Germany. That's where policy, that was the policy at the moment we want to reach. And if in the European Union, we have a ETS, emission trading system, and you can really look at the prices of the certificates. They have the price has increased tremendously in the last years. So it's getting more and more expensive to produce energy with coal. At the moment, coal has still a certain importance. That's absolutely clear. But many countries in the European Union have said we do a coal phase out. I mean, I think every country who has coal in the European Union has now a coal phase out. One is earlier than another one that is a bit later, but it's absolutely clear if we want to reach our European climate targets, the coal phase out is essential for that. And there is also no discussion about it. And the big challenge, what we have here, is to find a good way how we deal with the regions that are coal regions. So we have to find alternatives. We have to find a new sustainable development. What makes sense for the population in these regions, and so a just transition is so important. And you cannot just wait and say, it's the market who can regulate it. The market does nothing regarding a just transition. It's that are the politicians, that are the populations that has to, and especially politics, has to create a very good way together with the people in the regions to find new alternatives and develop a new perspective for that. And we do this, for instance, in all our coal regions. I come from Eastern Germany. There's Lusatia as one of the main coal regions.
Is that where the big mines are?
The big mines in the eastern, near the Polish border. There the transition is going on. And for instance, we bring new science. We bring new science hub there. We try to find to install the new parts of a renewable energy power supply chain. For instance, we have a very big battery storage on one of the coal power stations at the moment, and they try to store electricity from wind power there in a
to use in the mining
to use to bring it to the just to use it for electricity for the households in the region. And so there are different visions how we can really how we can transform from coal to renewables. We say the energy region, Lusatia in eastern Germany, should remain an energy region, but
a different kind of energy.
And a different kind of energy region, what is based now on renewables. It will take some time, it will take some decades, that's very clear, but we say you are our energy region and you will be our energy region.
You mentioned the two phaseouts that you guys are working on. Some would say that that the nuclear plants, they don't take 10 years to build because they're already running, they produce almost no carbon. And they're scheduled for phase that you said in 2022. Is there any rationale to the idea of keeping those plants open longer to speed up the phase out of coal? Yeah. Is that in terms of the lesser of two evils? Would you say that coal has a very high emissions profile, obviously.
That's true.
In terms of the lifespan of those remaining units, nuclear units, would it make sense to phase out coal quicker, leaving those nuclear units on board? I know that's a controversial question, but it's one you must get asked.
No, it's not controversial actually, because we had a long controversy over decades, 20, 30 years in Germany. The controversy was about how long should we still trust on nuclear energy? How long can we still trust on nuclear energy? Because Chernobyl and Fukushima have shown very clearly we cannot trust, and we don't. And the majority in Germany, the majority of the population says we don't want trust anymore on nuclear energy, and that's the reason why we have a phase out. The last for nuclear energy until 2020. The last nuclear power station finishes in 2020, is switched off 2020. That's it. And there is a very broad consensus also in the parliament. At this government at the moment, the acting government, and also among the new government members, there are three parties, they have the same opinion. That's clear. No nuclear power station will be longer, will remain longer.
Right. I was looking at Welt am Sonntag. Is that a major newspaper?
Yeah.
I was looking at a poll that they had recently, because this is a major interest to me in terms of the climate crisis. And they had a poll where it was actually very close. 50% were for at least keeping the reactors online for until the end of their lifestyle. 34 were against, and 16% were undecided. Is that representative in terms of the politicians? Is that credible to you? I mean, I saw it in Welt am Sonntag. That's what I was asking.
Just the first number was? It
was 50% were for an extension on those plants. The remaining 6, I think, right? Again, in the context of climate catastrophe. So I'm just wondering, is the consensus there? Is it changing at all? At COP26, or as we start talking more urgently about moving from the recent memory of Fukushima towards the impending climate potentially catastrophe we're facing?
There is, of course, a consistent lobbying of pro-nuclear groups in Germany as well.
Are there many?
There are some, and we can also see it. I mean, in the European Union, or also in other states during the world, that there is strong lobbying, very well organized lobbying for nuclear energy. And they tell us always there are so many nuclear power stations around the world just waiting to get switched on. But look at the numbers. During the last decades, we had only 5% of nuclear energy worldwide. So we talked the whole time about 5% of our nuclear energy, on the world. It's not important. Nuclear energy has never been an important part of energy supplying in the world. So that's absolutely not true. There are countries, of course, there are countries like France, their nuclear energy is very important for the energy system. But if you look worldwide, I would say this lobbying is a little bit strange, because, or maybe it's not successful, because I have to say, lucky-wise, it is not successful, and also many other people might see it, nuclear power has not that future, what we always get promised from this lobbying. They make so many good promises the whole time.
Right.
What we all can do and how safe everything can be. And look, we had Chernobyl and we had Fukushima, and Fukushima was in 2011.
And that's what stimulated the phase-out in Germany.
This catastrophe has consequences. We are still, Japan has still living with. So it's, and therefore I don't trust this poll. Okay, there's one poll, but what is one poll? Okay. I lined out how the political situation is, and the majority in the parliament is, and since years it's very clear for all main parties in the parliament, beside the extreme right-wing party, there is no option anymore for nuclear. For nuclear energy in Germany.
Right. So one of the challenges of wind and sun is certainly the intermittency issue. You mentioned battery storage that's increasing in Germany. I imagine there's other solutions, but Nordstream 2 is definitely a subject for conversation. It's going to be moving a lot of Russian natural gas into Germany. Is that to help balance out the intermittency? If not, what's the point of building this huge pipeline and bringing in more fossil fuels? Is that the way to replace coal, methane being cleaner than coal? Or what role will natural gas play with this infrastructure that's going to last 30, 40 years?
I mean, Germany wants to be climate neutral by 2045.
Okay.
What does it mean for gas? Of course, we cannot be climate neutral by 2045 if gas plays a big role.
Right.
Absolutely not. Right. So for us, it's very clear. During around 2040, there will be also a gas phase-out.
Right.
But in this time in between, gas will be very important. I mean,
is there a target on a gas phase-out? Is there in the way that there's a coal one?
Have given you a number, so around 2040.
Okay.
It's not an official
it's
target.
It's not the hard one like it is for coal.
No, it's not. There's not a hard target for 2040. But if you should see, the hard target is 2045. There is a hard target with 2045 at the latest moment.
Right.
But we say maybe around 2040 already. And everybody who does an investment, like you mentioned Nordstream 2, has to know that Germany will end at a certain point gas as well.
Right.
So there's also a very important sign to everybody who wants to invest in new gas infrastructure. A new gas infrastructure should be climate friendly. Climate should be in a way that you maybe can transport other products based on hydrogen, maybe.
There is a product, I think it's Greenpeace Energy, it's called, I think, Pro-Wind Gas. I know that you're producing biogas, there's a Pro-Wind Vegan Gas Plus, and they're starting to mix hydrogen in. I think so far it's kind of 1% of renewable hydrogen, but do you see that increasing? Is that the plan in terms of solving the intermittency problem? What are the main solutions, I guess, for that? Because as you said, like Portugal, there's whole days when it's amazing, the whole country is all wind. That's an incredible accomplishment, but what do you do on the days or even the years, like this year when the wind has been down so much?
Storage of energy is is part of the solution. Hydrogen products are part of the solution. Biogas will not be a big part. It has never played a big role, and it's maybe in some regions maybe it's more important locally. That might be. Of course, we have to all the problems regarding the networks must be really must be solved. This is very important. It's a very big challenge, and we are very clear that we have to be very fast now in pushing up our renewables regarding windmills. We are too slow at the moment building up new windmills, new parks.
Why is that?
Why is that?
Slow down a little bit.
That's because the last government, the government now, what is now an acting government, had a coalition partner. There was one party in the coalition who was.
Had the brakes on.
They just were not really pushing.
What was their motivation?
Motivation was maybe just to make a lay their focus on all the skepticism. There is skepticism, there are doubts, but instead of really pushing the solution, they were just waiting and focusing on problems and the problems we have, instead of solving the problems. And maybe they saw that that our energy system should change slowly, as also many people say. But in the end, everybody who is aware of the climate crisis can't follow that argumentations. And to change the energy system is the main important issue, the main important solution to reduce greenhouse gas emissions. But of course it takes time to convince. Always people need to be convinced again and again and again, because, as I said, it's a big challenge.
We've talked a lot about German domestically, but in terms of foreign policy, there was an announcement here yesterday about a German plan, I think, to help divest from fossil fuels more globally, and partnerships in that regard.
Pardon?
I think there was an announcement yesterday about Germany, attempting for the global financial system to divest from fossil. I know you're probably running out of time. I have one more question after that, so maybe keep that answer brief, and then we'll just close up. But in terms of international relations on the energy front, what's the focus for Germany?
You mean one of the declarations regarding oil and gas finance?
I believe that was it.
The Germany signed the declaration on oil and gas finance because it's very clear for us. We have to send a clear signal that investments in oil and gas are not anymore that. They are not that what we can base our economy and our energy system on. And this signal must be very clear towards, especially to the countries, to the state, to politics, to government, but also, of course, to economics, to the financial markets. Also, very important signal. And what we say is, yes, there can be still investments in gas. We need gas, as I said. The gas will be still important in the next 10, 15 years. It will be, it will be a very important part of the transition. Absolutely. But if we do gas for investments, then you have always to think with the investment, it needs to be in a way climate friendly. It needs to be used in the future with other products, climate friendly energy products based on hydrogen, as I said. So even if we help countries to get away from coal, a gas investment can make sense. Absolutely, we also say that. But the general message needs to be: oil and gas investments are not anymore business as usual, and that's what we underline with this declaration. Okay, so just a final question. You've probably seen people walking around in blue jackets. There seems to be a large pro-nuclear lobby here, which I think is pretty new for COP. One of them gave me this report. It's called 1 billion tons, and their claim is that if those 6 German reactors were kept online, 1 billion tons of pollution, of carbon emissions would be avoided, and the coal phaseout could be sped up by 10 years. I'm a medical doctor as well as a journalist, and they also say about 1,800 lives are shortened by pollution from coal in Germany. Have you seen this report at all, or? There are many reports about that say we have to be faster, of course. Well, just on the coal front, because I think that fact that 1,800 people die a year from coal pollution, that's worrisome to me as a doctor, and I think ideally, if I could influence German energy policy, leaving aside the nuclear question, I mean the coal phase out has to happen quickly, and if we're divesting from fossil fuels and you're trying to set an example worldwide, that was what was troubling to me, was seeing that 27%, the first number one source of energy on your grid was coal, despite everything that you've done. And you guys have tried really hard, you've made huge sacrifices, as you've said. But is there anything else that can be done to speed up the coal phase out? That's what I said. The coal phase out should come around 2030, much earlier than we say it in the legislation, where we say at the latest point is 2038. We have very high standards regarding air pollution regarding all the in terms of the coal scrubbers. Yes, exactly. And you close the dirtier coal plants. The European legislation regarding air is one of the toughest in the world, and we are very aware of that. Absolutely clearly, but. I would say we have one of the highest standards regarding cleaning of the air. But anyway, a very good argument to phase out coal as well is our health issues. Absolutely true.
Right. Okay, Stephan, you've been very generous with your time. I appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Okay.
Sorry, there were some tough questions, but
very good.
That's the kind of journalism we do.
No, absolutely.
Okay, we just have to get your microphone.
Yeah. That's good. Better. I want to have tough questions. I don't want to have slow questions. That's good.
Perfect. I love it.